This sneaker that we have right in front of us brought the 90s back, but I gotta say in 2025 it looks even better. And here we do have the Nike Air Huarache, and I believe that Baroque brown colorway. Let's go ahead and break it down. First things first, you guys, I do want to say I have had an Huarache in my lifetime, but it was the low version. I haven't had like this more like boot high top version of Huarache. I gotta say this is definitely something new for me and is pretty different. I can't lie, I was just stepping around in it a second ago and it was a little bit to get used to. And when I was stepping into it, a couple of things I will bring to your attention is, I don't know, it's like something around like this midsection area right here, as you guys can kind of see, and like along like this area inside the shoe though, it kind of didn't really feel comfortable. And just a little food for thought, I bought this sneaker a day ago along with those other 4 sneakers, so those sneakers will come out in their own separate reviews. That was something I did want to know, and that was just something I noticed first day, not even first 24 hours yet. So that's something I did want to tell you guys about. So it definitely is not the most comfortable sneaker, besides not even talking about that, but when I talk about comfort in general, it's not the most comfortable sneaker. I kind of expected more with this stack height, but I feel like the stack height, it kind of elevates you more than anything. But yeah, that's kind of my initial thoughts on this sneaker. I think it's pretty cool stylistically. I was kind of thinking about what kind of scenarios I would wear this with that kind of fit in with my personal lifestyle, but I couldn't really find any immediately. I kind of would break down some, use cases and, some outfits you can like kind of wear this with in the latter part of the video. This shoe does retail about $170. You guys let me know off the rip, would you spend and invest $170 in this shoe right here for your personal day-to-day needs? Me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna waste you guys' time and wait till the end to tell you guys my final verdict, and I will say I probably won't. This shoe right here is just something that I don't really feel compelled enough to go ahead and spend that much money on this shoe. It definitely doesn't have the looks for me to pay for it. It definitely doesn't fit into my lifestyle enough for me to pay for it. But then again, that's kind of all subjective. You guys let me know in the comment section right now what you would do, kind of just seeing the shoe initially and how it looks and things like that. That's enough for me talking about this shoe and my personal impressions. Let's go ahead and give you guys a quick little history lesson on the Nike Air Huarache trainer. And first things first, I do want to say, to kind of appreciate this shoe, you gotta know the backstory. So we're gonna kind of break that down and kind of lay the foundation right for this video. And I do want to say the Air Trainer Huarache first dropped in the early 90s, and it was designed by Tinker Hatfield, the same genius behind the Huarache Runner and some of the most famous Jordan models. These were built for multi-sport athletes. We're talking football, basketball, baseball, gym training, and it had to handle everything. And in 2025, Nike didn't just re-release it, they respected the blueprint. And what I mean by respected the blueprint, they kind of basically kept things the same. And I know along our Jordan fans, that is something that people really like. Quality materials, one of one when it comes to release to release. But yeah, it has been said, I haven't had my own personal pair of like dated back releases, but it has been said that these shoes right here have been if not basically one of one, they have or are pretty close to the original release. One thing I do also want to say for you guys, I have included these links of the shoes down below in the description for you to purchase. They are affiliate links, so if you do purchase, it does support the channel. But if you do want an easy way to purchase, check out the links in the description, which should lead you directly to the product. A little bit more on this shoe that I do want to talk about. The details about this shoe definitely brought me back to my original Huarache Runner when I was about, I think I was in junior high. I wouldn't say elementary school, so I think it was junior high when I had I think I had like a white and black pair of Nike Huaraches. But this shoe definitely brought me back to that old time. And I gotta say, when it comes to the details about this shoe right here, I gotta say that might be the best part of this entire shoe. And we're gonna go ahead and break down the materials and build quality of this shoe right here. Now, when it comes to the materials, the feel and things like that, I gotta say it doesn't feel cheap. It feels like a very premium sneaker. It feels like one of those sneakers that, it's not just a bunch of materials kind of slapped together. It definitely feels like there was some intent with this sneaker. Breathability is pretty okay. I would say it's not the most breathable. It's kind of more on the rugged side, which I kind of feel like fits this winter type of season that we're in, which I kind of feel like that was the purpose it was supposed to fill. As we talk about what materials and what kind of build you're going to be getting with the shoe right here, as far as that upper construction, you're going to get a nice inner sleeve. You're going to get some suede and leather overlays. You're going to get a nice mid-foot elastic strap system, and you're going to get that iconic Huarache heel clip. And this is one of those sneakers that looks complex in pictures, but in hand it feels sculpted and intentional. And within the color blocking, as we're kind of talking about that colorway, I believe the name is Baroque brown. But within this, the tone kind of gives that very vintage and outdoorsy vibe, which is very deep brown, and it's suede. It has that lighter brown accent, a soft green midsole, and hits of black for that contrast. And I gotta say, it feels very like Gorpcore, and it kind of has like that retro hiking boot crossed with trainer as like a vibe, if I had to put it the best way. And this build leads directly to what surprised me the most about this shoe, which is the comfort. So we're gonna kind of get into that comfort into this next section, and also that fit. And I will say, this shoe was not crazy in demand. I was able to find my shoe size with no problem, size 10.5. It does fit me well at that size, so I will say this shoe is true to size. It is snug a little bit at the midfoot, and that was kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier, kind of like that like contour. And if I had to put it the best way, right here within both sides, you gotta have that. I'm not sure why they kind of supported that, or kind of, you know, insert that in the sneaker. But I also will say, for my wide foot users, you may prefer the half size up. Now, when you talk about comfort, I gotta say the neoprene sleeve kind of hugs your foot, and you kind of understand why people love these in the 90s, because it basically just keeps you very locked in, kind of very cozy. It fits very like a glove, and it's surprisingly flexible. Now, when it comes to that midsole, it isn't modern Nike Zoom level soft. It has more of like a stability aspect to it with that classic cushioning, but it's definitely comfortable for all day classic and casual wear. But here's the part that I didn't really expect out of this shoe, and that is going to be the versatility. And, you know, looking at this colorway, looking at the overall build, you know, given this Nike Air trainer, I feel like you wouldn't think it would be the most versatile and wearable out there. But I'm gonna break down exactly why it surprised me in this next section about the style and also the wearability of this shoe. And the Nike Air Trainer Huarache is one of those shoes that looks way better on foot than in hand. Now, a couple of outfit pairings that I personally could think that these would be some great pairings with would be some cargos. You got joggers, shorts, tech wear, vintage outdoor fits, and kind of like maybe some relaxed denim. But the Baroque brown colorway also makes it incredibly easy to style with its earthly tones that kind of match everything. And this is the type of shoe that makes people say, what are those? Not like that old meme kind of, you know, cringy way. But speaking of how they look on feet, we are getting there, you guys. And first, before we talk about those on foot looks, we got to talk about, you know, just that overall durability and long-term performance of a shoe like the Nike Air Trainer Huarache. And when we talk about this sneaker, it is literally designed for athletes who do everything. So the suede overlays with this shoe right here is definitely going to be long lasting. It is very premium. That heel clip is definitely going to add and give you some great stability. And that thick midsole is definitely going to give you some nice protection along with some comfort. And that rubber outsole is going to give you some legit level of traction. Now, these are not flimsy retros. You could actually train in these if you really wanted to, and I'm talking about gym sessions. You got those lighter outdoor workouts or even daily wear. But these, are they worth it really in 2025? That's where things get really interesting, and we're gonna talk about some price and overall value really quickly before we get into the on foot shots. But are these worth it in 2025? In my personal opinion, not really. I personally am not really into paying $170 for these shoes, especially if they don't really fit my day-to-day lifestyle. I feel like if there may be some nice running shoes, maybe some comfortable everyday shoes that I can see myself wearing, then I feel like it would make a little more sense. But these shoes, they don't really fit any situations in my life, and they don't really fit you know, just my life in a way where I feel really compelled to pay that $150 or $75. You know, I have me a pair of On Cloud Monsters that I set to the side, which, you know, they fit my life in a very good way. So I felt compelled to play. I think it was around that same $170 and $80. So I feel like it kind of depends on, you know, what uses we can find for the shoe and if it really fits with our different lives. So for me personally, I'm gonna say no. But kind of more onto the price and overall value, I definitely want to say that these retail in the standard retro trainer range, which is not too crazy in certain people's eyes, but it's definitely not cheap. But compared to the modern sneaker prices, this is kind of a steal for what you're getting. You're gonna get some real materials, retro authenticity, some solid comfort, a look nobody else is pretty much wearing, I feel like, in 2025, and some actual performance credibility. So the Nike Air Trainer Huarache has always been underrated, and this 2025 Baroque Brown proves Nike can still nail a retro. So now onto the on-foot look. Here is the part that you have been waiting for, the on-feet looks of this shoe. I gotta say, the silhouette really comes to life. You have that strap, you have that neoprene booty, the shape, it all kind of works together, and the Baroque brown tones make it look premium, subtle, and retro all at once. So you can definitely dress it rugged, or you can go full vintage streetwear. So here is the question. Should you go ahead and pick up the Nike Air Trainer Huarache in 2025? I feel like this question is very subjective. I feel like it definitely depends on you. I feel like for me to answer this question, I would ask myself, is this shoe something I can use in my day-to-day life? Would it add to my life? And you know, would it give me that return on investment? Would that $170 kind of be returned in not only a monetary way, but in also other ways of, like, you know, happiness, or just, you know, just making life easier? So that's kind of, you know, the way I'll take my heart in answering this question. Let me know what you decided in the comment section down below. And yeah, leave a like on the video if you found this video to be helpful in any sort of type of way. I even appreciate you for even watching this far through. I also will say the links for these sneakers will be linked again in the description. But yeah, since you have watched this review this far through, I recommend hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you do not miss on these daily uploads. And for now, I really recommend, since you have watched and seen what we have in terms of everyday options for this video, I recommend you click the playlist right here, where we have a bunch of top 10, top 5 lists, and a bunch of other lists where you see a bunch of different categories on some everyday sneakers, lifestyle sneakers, and different things like that. So click here for some more sneaker inspo, and I will see you there.